And welcome to the GOAT Gazette, the officially unofficial show of the Hartford Yard Goats here on YouTube. I am your host, Midnight Mike, and we are back to go over everything that's happened since episode 2. It hasn't been great, guys. We got some rankings and all of that. We're going to check the standings, and also I myself attended Yard Goats game two days ago against the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, and I have some highlights from that game. That's going to be the main segment of this show, is the highlights from that game. But like I said, a lot going on in the world of the Yard Goats. Unfortunately, they were at one point at like 2-8 or 3-7 in their last 10 games. Since our last broadcast, the Hartford Yard Goats have gone 5-6. It was going to be 5-5 going into this show, but I ended up recording today on a Sunday after their Sunday game, which they lost. I believe it was like 6-1 or something to the Fisher Cats, the last game in that series. And so once again, we're meeting, and they have a losing record since the last show at 5-6. Now, as we've talked about, the main thing is the second half standings. I have those for you. We're going to check the overall first, but I do want to address the internet issues that I have been having on the past few episodes. I tried something new on this show. Who knows if it's going to work? We will see, but I am continuing to troubleshoot here on StreamYard for this GOAT Gazette. Eventually, I'd like to be going live before games so people in the parking lot or people in the in Dunkin' Donuts Park in the stadium can watch almost like a pregame with me before the game starts. So if you want to get in touch with me, if you have any suggestions, go to goatgazette@gmail.com and write to me. Or as you've seen on the bottom of the screen, I am on Twitter at Midnight Mike Show. That's, of course, spelled MIDNITE Mike Show. Midnight Mike Show. Okay, so first off, let's check those overall standings. This matters because if the Somerset Patriots win out in the second half of the season, it will go to the next team with the best record. And obviously, as you can see, that is our Yard Goats. Portland, well behind. They're not going to catch up in the overall standings. 13 games is just not going to happen with like less than a month left in the season. I mean, in a miracle, it could happen, but chances are it will not. Somerset sitting on top at 69-44. Hartford at 66-47. Portland at 56-57. And then you got the rest down the line, the Fightin' Phils, the New Hampshire that's the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. I'm sorry, the Portland Sea Dogs. Did I call them the Fisher Cats? I don't know. And at the bottom, the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. That's it. That's your second half, or that's your overall standings. But like I said, what really matters is those second half standings, which we are going to check out right now. The second half standings on top. They're having a great second half. The Portland Sea Dogs, 26-18. Now, keep in mind, they're still 13 games behind the Yard Goats in the overall standings. So you could just see what an amazing second half the Portland Sea Dogs are having. 26-18, first place right behind them. The Somerset Patriots, one game behind at 25-19, and the Yard Goats at 23-21. They are still in that hunt, only 3 games behind. But the way the Yard Goats have been playing this second half, that 3 games does seem a little bit insurmountable. It's not very promising. So, I mean, you kind of have to root for the Somerset Patriots. And once again, I don't want to back into the playoffs, but I've never seen the playoffs. The Yard Goats have never seen the playoffs. So I would love to see it. Back in or not, I'll take it. No matter how it happens, I'll take it. All right, let's move on to our highlight of the week. And I am not going to go from the game that I went to. I have plenty of highlights from that game. So let's do the highlight of the week or the highlight of the show, whatever you want to call it. So the highlight of the show, we're going to travel to our series against the Somerset Patriots. It was already 5-0, but this kind of put the game completely out of reach. What a game to watch. It was so much fun to watch the Yard Goats beat up on the Somerset Patriots, knowing the power that they have. But hey, here it is. It's Daniel Montano, a 3-run shot to make it 8-0. Let's check that out.
So the Patriots with a hole to work out of, but they've done it before. They've come back from a pair of 5-0 deficits this season, both of which were early in the year. Even came back from a 7-run deficit at one point this year in a game that they ended up losing, but they did come back from it. So they've seen taller mountains. It's a 5-0 game as Daniel Montano steps in. Runners on the corners and 1 out, and the left-handed batter hits the first pitch he sees high in the air towards right field. Dunham just glances at it, gives it a look, bombs away Daniel Montano. A 3-run shot that makes this an 8-0 ball game. The 8 runs, tying the career high allowed by Matt Sauer. And so this game has been broken open by Montano. It is his 12th home run of the season. RBIs 46, 47, and 48. And so 2 straight weeks the Patriots have had a player called up from high A, and the debut has not gone quite as planned.
That was gorgeous. What a bomb by Montano in Somerset. And as you saw, rounding the bases, one of those people scoring is one of our newest players who came up from the Spokane Indians, Zach Veen. I thought I had high hopes for Zach Veen coming to the Yard Goats. Now, once again, replacing the Ezekiel Tovars, who's I think still on the injured list, or the Michael Tolias, who got brought up to the Isotopes. You're not going to replace those guys, at least not in our hearts. But I had high hopes for Zach Veen. He did amazing and was the Futures All-Star game. A lot of chatter around Zach Veen, and he came in and in his, I believe, his first at bat, got a hit. So it was there. Since then, I mean, I just haven't been that impressed. I don't know what. I know his speed is outrageous, but he's very, very skinny. But he's the #1 prospect of the Colorado Rockies, and I look forward to a bright future with Zach Veen. I'm hoping he'll be here for the rest of the season, and then he could continue with the Yard Goats next year. I feel like he could be one of the few players to return, and I look forward to that. So, Zach, good luck in Hartford. All right, guys, here we go. I was at the Friday, I believe it was August 19th, Irish night game at Dunkin' Donuts Park. The Hartford Yard Goats versus the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, is it? I believe so. Let's check out some highlights. In the first inning, this was the first batter of the game, and when I saw the hit, I was like, oh, of course, here we go. But hit to the outfield, Brenton Doyle gets the ball, rockets it to the cutoff man. The cutoff man hits third base, and they steal a triple from the Fisher Cats. Check this one out. This is an amazing relay.
Thank you, Dan. It's like St. Patrick's Day here, right? And like on St. Patrick's Day, everybody is Irish on Irish night. Cal Datras on the go after a ball was hit off the bat hard by Snyder. Going to get by the center fielder Doyle and reach the fence. Here's Snyder rounding second, on his way to third. The throw, the tag, they get him. Wow, what a relay. Doyle plays it, hits Stovall onto Shunk, and the out recorded, and Davis's leadoff double is erased at third base.
Well, you could make the case that Davis Schneider, who's had a very good series, got a little bit greedy there. He does have outstanding speed. There's no doubt about that. But he didn't factor in the great arm that Hunter Stovall has. And that was just a great throw, nailing Schneider at third base.
8-6-5 on that putout. Nicely done. Now the short.
And that was some outstanding defense by the Yard Goats, and a heads up by Brenton Doyle out there in center field. I mean, the whole crowd popped for that one. It was a good way to start off the game. You immediately get kind of the air is deflated when you see the hit right away, but then that defensive play brings the whole mood up again, and it was great to see. Now this next highlight comes from a guy who just clearly wants to be on the Goat Gazette all the time. On episode 1, he had that diving SportsCenter top 10 catch out in the outfield. Then I wasn't planning on showing anything with him in episode 2, but then he had another amazing Willie Mays over the shoulder jumping catch, and then in the game I go to, Kyle Datras, 4th inning, goes yard. Let me tell you something. The Yard Goats had only 5 hits in this game. Boy, did they make them count. 2 home runs. Here's one in the 4th, Kyle Datras.
So now the right-hander Luis Quinones comes on. 6 feet, 205 pounds from Arecibo, Puerto Rico. Pitch on the way is driven high in the air to deep right center. This one has the distance. This one is gone. Kyle Datras homers into the upper deck in right center, and the Yard Goats take a 1-0 lead. Datris is on a roll. He now has 13 homers on the season. That's his third homer in this series, and it was a clout into the upper deck in right center. That one traveled a fur piece. I know, Jeff, you're going to get the distance in just a moment, but that was well struck.
It sure was. And look at the fans trying to get that souvenir. 397 feet, Dan, the exit velo, 104 miles per hour.
Oh, boy.
And he gets to wear the goat head now through the dugout.
I'll tell you, I always love that shot from center field when they pan over to the second deck right field stands for home runs. It's just a beautiful shot of Dunkin' Donuts Park in the right field. Yeah, that's about it. I figured I'd say that. All right, in the sixth, Hunter Stovall goes yard, makes it a 2-1 game. Now, literally right after in the fourth that Kyle Datris hit that, right in the top of the fifth, the Fisher Cats came back and scored, and once again deflated. It's like, oh, they had the lead, but then in the sixth, Hunter Stovall puts us back on top, and that's all. That's all we would need for the rest of the night.
The pitch swung on and hit high in the air to deep right field. You can kiss this goodbye. Hunter Stovall homers into the upper deck, and the Yard Goats take a 2-1 lead. Stovall hitting the railing of the upper deck in right center. That's his 9th home run of the year. The Yard Goats' second homer of the ball game. Both coming off of Quinones, who hadn't given up many homers this year. And the Goats get the lead back 2-1.
I love that goat mask. Like I just think doing that, and I've talked about it on another show, when they get a triple or a double, throwing up the goat horns. I think that's just a great thing for just camaraderie, teamwork. It really is something, and I hope it continues on through the years. But yeah, that was all we would need. Now in the 8th inning. Wait, before we get to this, I don't know if you noticed on the first base side and the third base side, they have it printed on the field. They have it sprayed on Yard Goats. The last game I was at, it said Hartford Yard Goats. Who decides? Who decides whether it's going to say Hartford Yard Goats or Yard Goats? I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna have to. I'll figure that out. Maybe it's like the director of field operations. I don't know. I just made that up, but it could be. Anyway, we did run into some troubles in the 8th. I mean, bases loaded. You want to see a really nice defensive play? I mean, if you know that they have the kiss cam, my father-in-law was sitting near me. He said that they should have the cuss cam, where they'd show people like me getting all frustrated, and then you'd like put the pixelation over my mouth as I'm cursing at the team because I'm getting so stressed out. Bases loaded in the 8th inning. Let's check it out. It's Levine to Calvo. Nice diving stop at first base by Levine to end the inning and get us out. Still with a 2-1 lead, bringing in Hollowell, and I'll talk about Hollowell in a second, but here it is. This one was a nail-biter, but beautiful defensive play.
So Britton is in, just got activated earlier today by the Blue Jays. And the pitch to him, swung on a ground ball right side. This has a chance, knocked out by the sliding Levine. He's got it. He flips to Calvo. The out is made, and Calvo escapes a bases-loaded spot here in the 8th inning. What a tremendous sliding grab by Grant Levine, and from his backside, flips the ball to Calvo covering. He saves the day, does Levine, and it's an out to end the inning. No runs, 2 hits, a walk, 3 men left. We played now 7.5 innings. We head to the bottom of the 8th. It's 2-1 Yard Goats on the Connecticut Baseball Network.
And it was a beautiful night at Dunkin' Donuts Park. The heat was there. I want to say it was in the high 80s. So I'll tell you what, really, every time I go, if it's hot, what cools you down is the get it yourself. It's the Goat Aid Shandy. So it's a beer with like a lemonade, and I'll tell you what, this is delicious, especially in the heat. I suggest you get it. It's right behind, right around first base, right behind first base. You could get it. I know that you could probably get it in other parts of the park, but that's where I always end up getting it. But anyway, yes, save there. Calvo, boy, did he make that 8th inning interesting. When they didn't throw in Hollowell right away in a 2-1 game, I know he's a closer. He's only supposed to be in the 9th, but Hollowell can pitch 2 innings. You don't have to stress me out. And I kept saying to my wife and my father-in-law, Hollowell needs to be in this game. Hollowell needs to be in this game. And then lo and behold, ninth inning, he came in, and even just before, just his warm-ups, you could see the power and just had complete control. He's probably the pitcher on the Yard Goats that when I go to a game or anything to that effect, or when I'm watching a game on a MILB TV, when he comes in, I calm down. It's very rare to see Hollowell screw it up. And he was actually the player of the game, got interviewed after the game, got the Gatorade bath. But anyway, that's it. Now, I had a plan for this next segment, but at the end of the show, I always like to do something I like to call On a Side Note. On a side note, I was there with my camera and I filmed a little bit of footage at Dunkin' Donuts Park. But when I tried to put it here into StreamYard, unfortunately, the file was too big. Now, it was only like a 3-minute clip, but it was too big. So what I was going to do is I was going to show it to you here and then end out the show. Instead, what I'm going to do is say, on a side note, you could check this out tomorrow, the next day. I'm going to just put it up as its own video on the Goat Gazette YouTube channel, and you could check out just me at Dunkin' Donuts Park enjoying the game. Like I said, it's only like a 3-minute clip, but I do hope that you enjoy it. We are getting close to the end of the season, only about a month left of games, and we have big series coming up with the Somerset Patriots. I believe we do play the Portland Sea Dogs again. So, hey, we're 3 games behind. We were starting to get on a roll there. I think we had 3 wins in a row. Then, unfortunately, earlier today we lost. But Goats, no glory. Go Goats. I know you can do it. Hopefully, the next time that I come to you with episode 4, I'm in a much happier, much more joyous mood, because I could say the Goats, since the last episode, they went 7-2 or something to that effect. I know that's a lot, but either way, I am Midnight Mike. If you want to get in touch with me, go to goatgazette@gmail.com or Midnight Mike Show, spelled MIDNITE Mike Show on Twitter. That's it. Eat it up, the Hartford Yard Goats. We'll see you next time.
God goes baseball, the fun never ends. Eat it up, eat it